America is broken. We have a war. In that span of time, I had a grenade at my house. I had the FBI and the bomb squad at my home. Dark future was ahead for me. I was the first special needs child to actually be integrated into the mainstream school system.
I always wanted to know what was the difference between the best people in their field and all the others. I've decided to ask the experts how they do it. So I take my Bentley and go to meet the real mastery. My name is Matt Sierra and this is Experts in the Bentley. Nick Vujicic, one of the most well-known motivational speakers in the world. The author of several books translated into dozens of languages, including Unstoppable: The Incredible Power of Faith in Action and Life Without Limits, Inspiration for a Ridiculously Good Life. A man for whom there are no limitations. Let's go! Nick Vujicic.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very, very well, and I'm deeply honored that finally I've got the opportunity to speak to you and to have this conversation one-on-one. Although I've seen you a couple of times before in the real world, but not this close. So,
well, I've never had an interview in a car, let alone a Bentley. I'm very thankful to be here, and congratulations on all your success and influence here in Poland.
Thanks a lot, and we're also grateful for the traffic in Warsaw because it means that it's impossible to crash. So,
unless the interview is so good that the driver is distracted, then I can drive.
Okay, it's also possible. Okay, chwala wam puno.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And my first question is probably the question that you've heard thousands of times, but a lot of people are interested in it. You were born with phocomelia.
Yes.
But your parents didn't have the opportunity to get used to the fact that something was coming, although they were scanned, your mother was scanned, and so on, but they didn't find it or they didn't notice, which sounds pretty strange. But
very strange.
But anyway, probably they were looking for something else, and it was there. Okay. Łukasz, the chairman of this seminar, told me that you like stupid jokes, so...
No, but it's actually true. They had 3 ultrasounds, and even on the scan where they were looking at, what gender is their firstborn going to be, they actually said, "Oh, it's a boy." It was easy to tell because the legs were not in the way, and so that's for real. And so it was incredible. My mom actually had a background in nursing and in midwifery for pregnant women and deliveries, and when it came to her pregnancy, though, she got so excited that they just didn't know, they didn't check that I had arms and legs. So yes, it was a great shock. Great shock.
And what did they do? How did they, well, I can assume how did they feel, but without this time to prepare themselves, how long was this shock before they finally accepted the truth?
You know, it's interesting because my mom and dad were different on this. Obviously, they were both in shock, but my mom, I think, took much longer than my father to accept it. Except the fact that, that her son had no limbs. And I think the different layers of shock, then grief, and mourning of wondering, first of all, what happened? Was it the doctor's fault? Was it something she did? And she knew she did nothing wrong in the pregnancy. No caffeine, no alcohol, not even painkillers. She had a premonition that something would go wrong in the first pregnancy. While she was pregnant, she felt something weird. She told my dad while she was pregnant, something's not right. He's not moving as much. And he just thought that was negative. And so he was positive. When they saw me, they were in shock. They were crying. And my dad couldn't believe it. My mom couldn't believe it. But then within the hour, I don't know how many minutes, but within the hour after I was born, They already took me away from my mum and my dad and wrapped me up. And they had time, obviously, together because they just realized what happened. And my dad said, can I go and see him? So my dad came to see me, unwrapped me, looked at me, wrapped me back up, came to my mom and said, he's beautiful. And, it was definitely a struggle. No medical professional at that time knew anything else of such a nature of a birth defect. So no one really had any answers. The doctors told my parents, such a bleak and dark future was ahead for me. That I wouldn't walk, that I wouldn't be able to go to school. The law in Australia was such that if I have a disability, I should be segregated into a special school. And my parents were Christian, and they're still Christian. My dad passed away in 2017, but they know that the value of every child, born and unborn, is valuable. And so I actually had this kind of question to my parents, but I waited till I was 13 to be able to get ready to hear the worst of it, right? Hear the worst part of it. And so it was hard. It was difficult. My mom said it was like a nightmare. She wanted to wake up from this nightmare and no one knew anything more. But she had and my dad had a wonderful family support. Serbian family, big family, and, church every week, small community church that my dad was leading. And so they had the support. It just took time. It took my mom 4 months before she felt peace and to really accept her son being born without limbs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now what is interesting is your way, because when we were kids, then everyone is different, but no one cares. Like this guy is white, this guy is black, this guy is taller, this guy is super huge, and so on. So I guess for you personally, in the beginning, it was easier than later when society starts to add meaning to stuff that probably is exaggerated or more than it deserves. So when was this moment that you not only noticed that you're different, but you noticed that it was a big deal?
Yeah, it was definitely at age 6. I knew that I had no limbs. And I didn't think it was such a big deal though until I went to school. A lot of kids were teasing me, pointing at me, laughing at me. Some wouldn't play with me. Some would just ask me questions. Some would say, what happened? And I said, I don't know. So then they say, you're dumb as well. And I didn't know what to do. And it was horrible. It was horrible. I didn't want to go to school. I told my mom and dad, I want to quit. You can't quit. You got to go to school. What was amazing was, my parents didn't coddle me. They didn't protect me in that, from all the challenges. They wanted me to hear of the opposition and feel offended, because if I wasn't hearing it then, it's not going to prepare me for the future. Because no matter where I went, I would look different and draw attention. And I had to build up that resistance or resilience, if you will, of that, and be aware that, yes, I am different. And my parents teaching me, look, children have never seen anybody like you, and you would probably do the same. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I had a quickening of maturity. And my parents did not spare the rod. They spanked me when I did bad. They didn't give me everything I wanted when I wanted it, how I wanted it, because that would ill prepare me for the future. And in fact, when I wanted a toy, I remember wanting a toy from a store, and they said, you buy it yourself. I said, I have no money. They said, well, figure it out. I'm like, what does that mean? Well, your brother, and you, if you guys want stuff, we're not going to buy you everything you want. Money don't grow on trees. So I vacuumed the floor for $2 a week. And I saved up money, and it taught me gratitude for what I had. It helped me to understand a little bit more of how much my parents had to work for what we had as well. It taught me to set goals. It gave me a sense of dignity. And those life lessons were not taught in school. It was because my parents knew how to train me in such wisdom. And I'm so thankful for my parents. Very courageous mom as well. We just had International Women's Day recently. My mom, she's an incredible woman. My dad's incredible. But she went to the government and said, why can you not allow my son to go to school with the other children? He has a brain. He's smart. He gets it, And so I was the first special needs child to actually be integrated into the mainstream school system. It was pretty cool.
Great. It was in 1989, yeah? So
That's correct, 1989.
It changed probably two generations of future people. So.
That's right. And you know what? I like how you said what you said, the way you said it. It wasn't that I'm different and now everybody's got to accept me, or now I'm going to see if I'm your friend because of how you treat me because of my differences. I like the word exaggerated. It's really spotlighted in some of the minor groups in the world that represent society today, that they believe that they somehow deserve more of a larger spotlight. And then even indoctrination of why I'm different, how I'm different, and how I can be different today than tomorrow in some aspects, how I'm different from you. And it's almost like this toxic environment that we now live in a world society. And, when you look at people with disabilities, 1 in 10 are affected with disabilities in their homes. 80% of marriages end up in divorce if they're affected with a child with a disability. And so, pro-family and everybody coming together and holding together and understanding, sure, there are differences out there. No one's more important than another. And I actually love how Poland stands in very conservative stances in some aspects, especially for the value of the unborn. So bravo, Poland, bravo. I'm going to America can learn from you, let me tell you. I'm very passionate about holding in your values and your belief systems. From here I go to Hungary, and obviously Hungary is being attacked from other parts of society, if you will, of being too conservative. And I just want everyone to know that the most conservative of conservatives, we understand that everyone has value. And in that, do not let another minority group have more of a spotlight than somebody else. And that's the amazing thing about, coming back to the basics of every day. People look at me with a disability and they say, wow, I can't imagine my life like the way that you are. And I said, you know what? I can't imagine my life in a broken home. My mom and dad, they loved each other. I feel for the disability, the disabilities of the heart. And we all have a disability. No one's suffering more than another person. And yes, wars will come and go. Seasons will come and go. The pandemic wasn't the first global crisis. It's not the last crisis either. Sorry, I'm already deep diving into this, but I just like the way you said that, because it's important for everyone to understand that we all should be on equal level as far as, understanding that we're all human beings and respect, but understanding to keep it equal.
Great. But what was not great was that when you finally attended school, you were mocked, you were bullied, you were teased, you've heard a lot of despicable opinions and crass statements, and finally it almost ended your life. Could you tell us how was it, and how you made this switch to in the final moment to refuse giving up on your life?
Yeah, I went through depression between ages 8 to 12 years old. I hated my life. I hated the idea that there was a future that everyone could believe in, yet no one could see it. No one could explain it to me. I convinced myself that I'd never get married. I convinced myself I'd never get a job. I convinced myself that I'd never be happy. I thought that I would always be bullied and always be just a burden to my parents. And so I thought it would be best just to kill myself. And so I tried to drown myself in 15 centimeters of water, and trying to fill up my lungs before I, swallow and then fill up my lungs was very scary. And I turned over 3 times in the bathtub. And the third time I turned over was supposed to be the last time. And I had this visual in my mind, like lightning it came, just a quick visual of my mom and my dad crying up my grave, wishing they could have done something more. And I realized at that time, I didn't want to leave them with that pain. And so I decided to stay. And I'm very, very thankful that I gave my broken pieces a chance. And I want you to know we all have broken pieces. We all have wounded hearts. We all have scarred minds. But when you go through resistance, it builds your resistance. You don't just go through things, you grow through things. And so we all know that we become stronger on the other side, but it's difficult in that moment. The only thing that really saved me, first of all, I'm a Christian, and without the grace and mercy of God, I wouldn't be who I am. That's my joy, it's my purpose, it's my life. Number one in my life. And so I'm thankful to God for the parents that I had, because every day they said, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. And they said, we love you, don't worry, it's okay. And they hugged me when I cried. And so it was that persistent love. If they were not so persistent with that love, then I probably could convince myself they actually don't love me as much as they do. And so parents, there are so many youth, even in Europe right now. I'm going to Serbia. There's a spike right now in suicide in young people in Serbia. And being Serbian of heritage, I'm going there to do a speech for the young people there. And, a lot of young people, they can hide things really well. Sometimes they can't hide it, but you gotta unearth it. You gotta have a conversation. How are you? Tell me something about school. Not just them, but tell me about the other people at school. Are you seeing this? Are you seeing that? Not just being on technology, but challenge your own family situation to start board games. They eat your food that you pay for. They live under your roof. You need to move out of your comfort zone as well and put an extra little bit of time to meet them halfway and build a bridge between you and your children. Do what you can, and they may see that you're trying to put in effort. Maybe even play a video game with them. Do something unexpected. Go for walks when you can with them. Even in silence, just go for walks. And so that persistent love helped me to stay. And then at age 13, I was playing soccer and I hurt my foot so bad I couldn't walk for 3 weeks. And I realized I had a choice. And it was the first mentality shift. It was the mindset. My dad always said, you can't change what you can't change, but change what you can, change your mind. And so I realized I have a choice either to be angry for what I don't have or be thankful for what I do have. And that was the moment where I realized, wow, I'm not going to be angry for having no limbs. I'm going to be thankful for having my little foot. And that's the positive change that happened. I had a spiritual experience at age 15. And then at age 17, there were 2 things that I was competitive in: chess and mathematics. And I loved speaking. I could compete in speaking. I couldn't compete in sports. I couldn't compete in running. But I could compete in math, chess, and speaking. And so I had this speech in front of my whole school. And the janitor who cleaned the toilets when I was 17, he pulled me aside and he said, Mr. Arnold, he said, you are going to be a worldwide speaker. And I said, you are crazy. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you're going to speak. I said, speak about what? He said, your story. I said, I didn't have a story. He said, yes, you do. And he begged me for 3 months to speak in front of a very small, intimate group of teenagers and just share my heart, my experience of life, how I got out of depression, and how to never give up. And people were crying, and people, called me, can you speak here? Can you speak there? And my background actually is in finance and investments. So I was in stocks at age 16, 17. I was an options day trader at age 19. I went into real estate, my first investment. And then by age 21, I graduated with a Bachelor of Commerce in Accounting, Financial Planning under an umbrella of Bachelor of Commerce. So a double major in university. So I have a financial background. Never thought that I'd ever be a speaker and travel the world like I am.
Mm-hmm. And what a great story of a person like Mr. Arnold who just by words can change the world.
It's true. It's true. It's amazing. It really, really, really is amazing. Talk about a seed of love, a seed of courage, a seed of belief. And now that little boy, 17, now at 40 years old, I've been to now 78 countries, 24 presidents and prime ministers. Our largest crowd was 800,000 people. In Ukraine. And with 53 million people watching. So 1 billion people in China know who I am. 1 billion people in India know who I am. And about 800 million out of those two countries. So 2.8 billion people have been touched somehow because of that janitor who said, hey, you're going to go around the world.
And even a couple of countries changed their laws in order to allow people with disabilities to attend public schools and so on.
Correct.
So there are a lot of successes.
Yes.
But I guess not only you found hope for yourself, but you found so much hope to fulfill the hearts of others. But I guess when you finally have this hope and you're speaking in front of the crowd, telling your story, which is a positive story, but then afterwards, you hear their stories. There's a lot of suffering and pain and evil happening right now and in past and in the future. How to deal with such enormous quantity of suffering that people share with you?
Yeah, look, at the very beginning, I actually, in the first 500 speaking engagements, I actually would take time to hug every single person. Whoever wanted a hug with me, they got a hug with me. And this was back before cell phones all had, phones and whatever. But I hugged everyone, and they would tell me their deepest secrets and the horrific terror that they've gone through. And there was a moment where I realized I can't take that on. I can't, you walk away and in your brain, you just rehearse what they told you, and you can't imagine what they've been through. And you empathize and sympathize as best as you can, but you can't. But they just wanted to share it, and sometimes I said, you really need to talk to somebody about it. You really need counseling. You really need to tell someone. And for me, I realized I'm just pointing to the source. I'm not the source of hope. I can motivate people. I can inspire people. But I can't tell them their purpose. I can't show them. They need to find it for themselves. And so I went through a stage of even depression, because all I would do is travel, hear all these stories, and not even fill up my tank. I used to be on the road. There was 1 year where I was only home 35 days of the year. I didn't even know why I'm renting a home. And it was tiring. But you remind yourself, you don't know what seeds have been planted from you that have taken root. And now, with 14 million social media fans and books, in 38 languages or whatever, in Polish languages too, I know, there's a lot of people who've emailed and sent in letters to say how the speech or the hug or the moment they had with me changed their life. And so if I can only change one person's life, it's amazing. So many people, we all go through ups and downs. I went through a recent depression in 2021. I think we've all gone through fear and depression and displacement, anger, emotions in the last 3 years. I think we've all gone through hell in some aspect, shape, or form. And I'm not here to compare anyone's suffering to anybody. But brokenness is brokenness and hope is hope. And we all go through it. But if you can understand that even in your situation, when you don't have a miracle, you can still be one. The little that we have, let's talk about the currency of words, the currency of compassion, the currency of time, the currency of understanding, the currency of caring. Let's talk about that currency before we talk about money. You know, sometimes we underestimate the intrinsic value of being a friend, a true friend. And sometimes you got to be a friend to get a friend. And actually, it was a coping mechanism for me as a teenager. When I realized when you don't get a miracle, you can still be a miracle for somebody else. And sometimes I realized, hey, if I can just listen to somebody else's story, at least I know I'm not the only one. Oh, they're gonna handcuff me. They found me. They found my fingerprints.
Oh man.
So it's amazing when you don't get a miracle, you can still be one. And when you understand that you're not the only one that's suffering. You know, it's not just about you. It's about the world. It's about understanding the greater pains of this world. If I may share, I mean, here is the status of our world. Pre-COVID, we have 25,000 people dying daily of starvation today. We have 55 million human trafficked slaves, most of them for sexual slaves. You have many people being shipped from Africa and Latin America for organs, being killed for their organs, organ harvesting. And let me tell you, America is broken. We have a war that you don't even know. It's terrible. It is terrible. Such a sexually based, self-centered nation today. It's unbelievable. The media and everything that is being produced has brainwashed the next generation in America. Gen Z in America is the largest pornographic producing generation in America's history of self-pornography production. It's unbelievable. 1 in 3 girls are raped in America before age 17. 1 in 5 boys are raped before age 17. People don't understand this. And so there's so much war in the society. And we're sexually driven. It's unbelievable. Very lust driven. It's evil. And so we've lost a generation. Honestly, we've lost a generation. How do you bring back the dignity? How do you bring back character? How do you bring back integrity? How do you teach a culture without the school system and government help through media to actually not start to not see girls as a sexual object anymore? It's unbelievable. And so when you look at the brokenness of this world and you see now post-COVID, we've done some surveys that more than, what is it now? I think 7% of American teenagers have attempted suicide. 7%. And so I don't know what it is in Poland, but I'll tell you, that's the things that I actually advise governments on. The next generation. Not just laws for the disabled, but I'm a youth advisor for a couple governments now. And this is what we're looking at. What do you do with this? Well, you can either say, well, this is too big for me, we can't do anything, or you can dream to be a part of the solution, period. And, you know, we gotta have the hard conversations. For me, I'll tell you right now, Mache, my biggest dream from here, now with the reputation that we have, I want to be at home, continue to change the world from home, do something like this. I love this idea. I mean, this is a good idea.
We're gonna give you the car later. So. Take it.
Yeah, right. I had a Maybach. I love the Maybach. I love Mercedes too. Anyway, but this is a great idea because now you can write this off as a business. But I'll tell you, see my accountant skill? No, but I'll tell you right now, when you look at all these problems in the world, you have a choice. Do you want to be part of the solution or not? And so I'm now also an ambassador for a teen suicide prevention program that is going really well in America, that's going to expand internationally. And it's peer-to-peer accountability and checking in on everybody. How are you doing? If you ever had a thought of committing suicide, who would it be that you tell? So they actually preface it in schools. It's amazing. And suicides are dropping. It's amazing. So I want to make a difference in the world. And in 15 years from now, Nick's goal is to inspire a trusted funnel of philanthropic funds, 400 million people giving $1 a day, which is $146 billion a year, without corruption touching it from governments. We want to administer the alleviation of human suffering with 400 million a day. And so we want to build hospitals, we want to build schools. So that's part of my reason as to why I'm also going to Serbia and some other countries still. And I'm retiring from being on the road like a rock star. I want to be at home, more in TV. They haven't found me yet. I want to be more on TV and going into production, film production, documentary productions. There are other stories that I want to portray out of all the people that I've met. There are many other stories that I want to let the world know about. So I'm sorry I talked very long for that question, nice. But that's the holistic point of view. You can't take it on, and you got to be part of a solution. And that in itself doesn't just need money. It's your care. And how you live from day to day is important. Don't live in the future. Don't live in the past. Live now and plant seeds of love.
Mm-hmm. And that's the solution for all the people who are thinking because many people, and probably you in the past also, think if there is the God, because they are posing these questions like, why me? Yeah, like many people with their problems asking God or the world, why me? What it happened to me? While probably most of us would agree that Satan exists and works hard.
Yeah.
Because we see the proofs everywhere.
That's right.
So how to never give up, because it's one of your mottos, one of your clue sentences. So how not to ever give up?
You gotta believe in the spiritual realm, for real. I've seen demons. You may not believe me. I don't care if you don't believe me. I've seen the spiritual realm, dark and miracles actually in my own back. I had a hollow spine. I was diagnosed at age 19 in 2002 with a hollowing of my spine. It's called the syrinx. It's a disease that you cannot reverse, you cannot slow down. You have to be born with it. And so I was born with 2 rare conditions. And they told me the prognosis would be that at age 35 I would have no spine. And I now have no holes in my spine. I had 3 holes in my spine, and the MRIs showed the reversal. And for me, I've seen blind people seeing, deaf people hearing, lame people walking, crooked backs come straight. And I've been around the world and I've seen it. God does not always heal the physical, but he heals your heart and rescues your soul. And I do believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior and only Savior. And for me, that faith in understanding that eternity is real, it helps me, not as a coping mechanism, but it actually helps me understand that I can know him, not as a traditional cultural religion or a ritual of going to church. Maybe you're Catholic, maybe you're Orthodox, maybe you have a different religion. Hey, I know why I'm not other religions, and everyone's gonna, make a decision on what they believe. But for me, I actually feel God. I feel Him. I feel His peace. I feel His love. I feel His comfort for me when I'm going through something that not even my wife can comfort me with. I can tell her how I feel, but humans can only have a limited capacity to comfort you. But God has no limit in how He can comfort me, strengthen me, encourage me. And so, I read my Bible. Yes, I pray. And for me, faith is the largest element of my foundational joy, happiness, and belief in the future. Listen, people don't know this in Poland yet. You're the first one that I'm telling people about this. I actually, in 2019, had the first of 3 worst years of my life. In America, I don't know if you've heard of the term cancel culture.
Yeah.
So I was kicked out of a bank. A bank kicked me out, a big bank. And they said, we reviewed who you are as a customer, and we don't want your business. You got to find another bank in 30 days, or else we're going to take your money. And so it was terrible. In that span of time, I had a grenade at my house. I had the FBI and the bomb squad at my home. I had a spying drone over my house. The list goes on. I had a lawsuit against me. I was found not guilty. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it was hell. I went through depression. I went through counseling. And we got through it. But I want people to understand that I'm not bulletproof. We all go through depression. We all go through anxiety. We all go through things. But when you get through it, you do become stronger. You do become more humble. You do become wiser. And man, wisdom is much better than gold. Much better than gold. And so for me, I share all this to be very transparent with everybody. I was depressed, and I had to talk to a counselor about the things that happened 20 years prior. I didn't realize that the people who made me feel betrayed were still affecting me. And I thought, I'm a motivational speaker. I tell people to never give up, never give up, never give up. And I felt, I don't feel like I have energy to even get through today. And so you take one day at a time, number one. Number two, how to never give up. Write a list of the things that you're thankful for. That attitude of gratitude is very important. In 2016, I nearly died. In 2017, I buried my father of cancer. In 2019, we had a grenade at the home. And when you look at those 3 worst days of the last, 6 years of my life, how could it have gone worse? I had to go there. When you're that depressed, it's not just being thankful for what you have. It's also being thankful that the bad days were not even worse. That's how bad I was. So this is something no one's taught me, but I taught myself this. And so what's worse than nearly dying? Dying. What's worse than burying a father of cancer? Not being able to say goodbye or having a friendship. Well, I had a friendship and I was able to say goodbye. What's worse than having a grenade at your house with the pin? That your child pulls the pin. And so when you look at that and you reframe this, it helps you understand, hey, this is not the last crisis, just like the pandemic. And it was not the first. So you get through it. And I think the secret of secrets is once you're married, she is your best friend. She is your soulmate. And she is your rock. Outside of God, I'll tell you right now, my wife is the reason why I'm still here and why I have what I have. And we go on dates every single week. I need to pursue her. I need to ask her 3 questions. Monthly, we ask each other 3 questions. What am I doing that you want me to stop doing? What am I not doing that you want me to start doing? And what am I doing well that you want me to keep on doing? And can you imagine what that would do if you're honest and you actually intentionally do or stop doing things? That's the health of our marriage. So
that is great, and it's a piece of advice that we can all use right away. So it's awesome. And what's also awesome, those are 3 pieces of advice that you usually give on stage or during interviews.
Yes.
The first one is to never give up. Second one is do your best. And the third one, which is for me personally, is the hardest, definitely. Because doing my best, I'm at least trying. Never give up for now. I haven't. But love everyone. When you're speaking about forgiveness, it's easy for me to be compassionate towards people who are victims, who are abused, who wanted to commit suicide because of something that happened to them.
Yes.
But when I think about people who are wrongdoers and not by accident, but they are doing it constantly to many people, and they show no remorse, then it's extremely tough for me to think about them as
lovable,
possible good human beings.
Yeah. Look, when you have an understanding that there's a spiritual realm and there's attacks, and you can get counseling, and then you can also help someone else in need, that also helps the heart. When you help someone that maybe can't even thank you. The bottom line is, if someone doesn't say sorry for what they've done against me, I can choose to forgive or not forgive. They can choose to say sorry or not say sorry. That's the amazing thing about free will. And then they will be judged accordingly. However, if someone says sorry, do you quickly forgive? Or do you judge how really sorry are they? It's very interesting. How long will it be after they say sorry? Will I actually forgive, or will I still ever forgive? Very interesting. Now, you have a choice then therein, whether they say sorry or not, to forgive. Whether they knew it or not. There is no remorse, there is no, benefit of revenge. There is also no benefit of unforgiveness. It actually rots your soul, it rots your spirit, it rots your mind. And I needed 10 years to forgive that person that hurt me. And he actually, 5 years after I forgave him, he actually came back and said sorry. Not everyone gets a sorry. And I'll tell you right now, he was sorry, but I just needed to hear something from him, his admission of what he did wrong and the way that he did something. And it wasn't cool. It was not cool. It affected me. It affected me badly. And sometimes you don't get closure. I'll tell you right now, I could not in my own strength forgive. But because I know that I needed forgiveness from my sins, that's how I'm able to forgive others. Because who am I that I could be forgiven? That is what helps me to understand we are all equally needing forgiveness. And if I am withholding forgiveness, yet I am forgiven, that helps me a lot. That helps me a lot. So am I quick to forgive? No, not really quick. I'm not superhuman. But do I know from the past hurts that it's best to forgive and strive to forgive? Yeah. So one of the ways that counselors actually advise and professional psychologists advise is to write out a letter to the person who hurt you. Tell them what they did in that letter. Tell them how it really made you feel in that letter. Tell him how it's affected you even to this day in the letter. And then tell him, but I don't allow my past to define my future. Seal it, put it in an envelope, and when you're ready, burn it in a fire. Unless you feel to give it to them. Sometimes it's best not to do that. Sometimes it's best to do that. I don't know your situation. But psychologically and subconsciously, when you can actually even burn a letter and journal in that way, I found a lot of people that got healed from doing that task, which is not easy.
And probably being a good person is not easy either, especially that when I hear about this grenade in your backyard, and I'm reading the history of humanity, like there was Jesus killed, Malcolm X killed, Martin Luther King killed, Abraham Lincoln killed, couple of other people who wanted to change the world for the better ended up pretty badly because they interfered the interests of evil people or the wrongdoers, whatever we call them. But you've also rescued children from brothels in India. You've inspired many people to change something in their lives, and someone can and I see that someone is afraid of losing his business or maybe diminishing some income. Did you ever think that you could end up being attacked, killed physically?
Yeah, we've had bomb threats in stadiums and bomb threats in a car, and it's something that I needed to count the cost early on. And since age 19, I've wanted to change the world. And if you really want to change the world, I mean, you're gonna then change someone's current situation. Because it's all done by human beings, by someone. Someone's making the decisions. Someone's making the money. Someone's got the control. So to undo that or challenge that, there's a possibility someone will kill me, and we know that. It's a sacrifice that me and my wife are willing to do. When you stand in front of the gates of hell and redirect traffic, it gets hot. And not for our own reputation, but we just feel called with such a unique position of trust and a vocal stage. And it's actually kind of where I'm going more and more. I'm not traveling anymore like I used to. I'm semi-retiring off the road. There are some things in media. There are some things in production. There are some things in policies and government that I will be influencing. And we really want to make a difference, and America needs help right now. And if America can get back healthy, then I can take a breath. But for now, we are drowning in America, and we want to make a difference in respect and in love, but without any holding back, courage, humility, with God on our side. But yeah, no, that's actually something that I think about probably every 2 weeks. I have thoughts of someone kidnapping my child. You know, like I realize that, you know. I think through that. As much as you think through it, nothing can prepare you for such a thing. But those thoughts do come through my mind. It's a real imminent danger. And you do your best. You don't overstep. You do what you can so you never have regrets. But so far, age 40, with the people around me and the counsel and wisdom and the support that we have, we're very thankful. Very thankful to be alive for such a time as this. These next 10 years to 15 years, I think, are the most exciting 15 years across the last 100 years of the world. I think it's a very interesting time, and I'm excited to try and make positive change.
I hope that it will happen, and not only hoping, but I guess I'm pretty sure that
Thank you.
that it will happen, and there are a lot of people who help other people be better and become better and just go through the tough situations. So my question is, because you're the giver, you've made out your living even by giving hope, by giving inspiration. What do you need to take? What does Nick Vujicic need?
Family time with my wife, time with my children. I have a tan, not because of the sun here in Poland or Lithuania, but we were just boating and fishing, and we have a property out in Texas. So I like being outside on a lake, on a boat, with my family. That's the way that in my happy place, I rejuvenate.
Great. So I hope that it will happen soon. Well, it's going to happen in a couple of days. So, so finally. And then one more question related is a question that probably many people ask themselves: how God, who is Almighty, allow such things to happen? So many bad things, so much suffering that He could just end, but He doesn't.
Yeah, very good question. When you read the Bible, you actually realize that there was no bad in the world until Adam and Eve fell into sin. Then if God knew what was going to happen, why would He allow the serpent in the Garden of Eden? Very simple. Because if Satan was not allowed into the Garden of Eden to give Adam and Eve a choice, we could then argue that God never gave us free will. He gave us free will as the human race, and they failed. God, He's so holy, He couldn't be with us. So, with our sinful nature, we were then cursed with death because of sin. That's what the Bible says. We have a temporary life, and here on temporary life, we choose what we believe. And in this temporary life, going into the next life, we must understand that this is not God's place. He created the earth. The evil was not His intention. That was the enemy. He allowed the enemy to now go through the world and divide and conquer and bring death and destruction. But what the enemy tried to use for bad, God can turn into good. And so why doesn't He stop it? Well, because He's giving everyone free will. Now, does that mean that everyone gets to hear about the Bible before they die? No. What happens to them? I don't know. The Bible's not clear on that. But the Bible is very clear that if you have heard about Jesus Christ who died on the cross for your sins, who resurrected, and you heard and you did not believe, it's very clear on that. So for me, when I hear about that I'm a sinner, I know I'm a sinner. I've lied. That means I'm a liar. I've stolen. I'm a thief. I've looked at a woman lustfully. Well, I've committed adultery in my mind. I hate someone. Well, then I killed them in my own heart. See, we all have sin. We all have guilt, shame, and condemnation. And after a while in having sin for so long, you have a choice, either to repent or be comfortable in your sin. You justify why you're still addicted to pornography or have an emotional affair that your wife doesn't know about. And you become more callous in your heart. That's your choice. But you know deep down it's wrong. You know deep down it's empty. You know deep down that money will make you more happy. You make 100 grand, now you want to make 1 million. You make 1 million, you want to make 10 million. Big deal. Money's nothing. It can buy you things, but it cannot buy you what you really need. And so if you lack peace in your soul, that's why I'm rich. I'm rich. If you kill me today, I'm happy. It doesn't matter. Because I know where I'm going. I know whose I belong to. I know that my wife knows I love her. I know that my kids know I love them. And if I die today, I live as if it's my last anyway. And so I'm free. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of failure. Failure is my classroom. Christians fail. Christians go through depression. Unfortunately, the biggest reason why people are not Christian is because of Christians who say they're Christian, but they're actually not. And I just want to tell you, I love you. And if you haven't found that peace with God yet, find it today. And I hope that today is a seed of faith to believe that if he can use a man without arms and legs to be his hands and feet, then he can use any willing heart.
That was great.
Thank you.
That was great. And one last question, which is a tradition of this show. One thing that thing or experience that you bought for maximum $100, which changed your life for the better, despite of the low cost.
Smartphone. My smartphone changed my life. I'm now able to type with my foot very quickly. I love smartphones. It's really, really helped me. Man, there's a couple gadgets under $100 that I've purchased. That's one for sure. That's helped me a lot. Bluetooth, obviously hands-free, right? The little things. There was a massage gun. I have my son. He puts a massage gun on my back and he helps me. I have back pain every single day. And so he massages me for money on my back and relieves my pain. So it's a good investment for the home.
Okay, crazy. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
I've got two things for you.
Okay.
To thank you. One is expert plate.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can use it in California.
Yes. I now live in Texas.
So
that's beautiful. I love it. Thank you.
So I'm gonna pass it to you later. And we've only created one book in English as for now. Teddy Expertise Saves Money, so it teaches kids how to save money. So I hope it's gonna inspire your kids.
I love it.
About it. So
I love it. Give me a hug. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I wish you all the best. I wish you your mission fulfilled. I want to see it fulfilled. I even want to help it fulfilled.
Yeah, I'm going to be in touch with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're awesome. He's really cool. He's really cool. Give him a thumbs up. Get this story out. Share it with people. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
It's an honor to me too. Thanks a lot and all the best.
Okay.